This episode of The Healthy CEO is brought to you by Authentic Health, your trusted source for foundational supplements designed to help you live longer, stronger, and with more energy. At Authentic Health, we believe that better health starts at the cellular level. That's why our carefully crafted supplement stack is built to support cellular health, protect against environmental toxins, and give your body the foundation it needs to thrive every single day. And here's something special just for listeners of The Healthy CEO. Head over to shopauthentichealth.com and use the promo code JASON at checkout to receive an exclusive discount on your order. Take charge of your health, invest in your longevity, and fuel your performance with Authentic Health.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to The Healthy CEO. I have what might be the perfect episode for The Healthy CEO. And as you can see by the title of the episode, this is going to be something that is going to be somewhat controversial. A lot of people will disagree with me that the key to longevity may have absolutely nothing to do with exercise and training. Now, look, a lot of the reason why I put that in there, and if that is the final title, that's just kind of what I'm going with right now, but I may change it before I actually air this. It is intended to be a little bit thought-provoking, if not provocative altogether, because one of the things that if you listen to Peter Attia et al., you'll say that in his 4 pillars of longevity, exercise and training is number one. And in fact, I live my life in that very way. I make sure to stay moving and physical training, doing resistance training, balance work, cardiovascular work, maintaining a high VO2 max. These are all the things that I'm really focused on as a first line priority with regard to longevity. But there is something else that I started really trying to work on a while back that this episode that I'm going to talk about actually confirms. I had Dr. Stephen Hussey, who is actually a chiropractor by trade, but after having a heart attack at a very young age and being seemingly healthy, with the exception of being a type 1 diabetic, although he managed it really well, he had heart disease, and it didn't make sense. And so whenever he went through this, he started actually focusing more on heart health, and he's written a great book on it. I'll actually put a link to it in the show notes. And we talked about, I think it's, I can't remember the title of it. I'll have to look that up. I think it's called Understanding the Heart or something like that. And a lot of it had to do with endothelial health. And that's one of the things that I had an episode with my business partner, Dr. Troy Jackson of Authentic Health Partners. He actually came on and we did this, we had a conversation about stress and how it relates to heart disease. And I just kept hearing over and over this idea that so much of our issues with cardiovascular disease has nothing to do with the two big ones that we all hear about, which is diet and exercise, which I find kind of fascinating. And then Mark Hyman Dr. Mark Hyman, for those of you who don't follow Dr. Hyman, he's one of those, it's become kind of one of the most notable experts in health, wellness, longevity, and functional medicine. He did a post recently where he asked, I think ChatGPT, what is the key to longevity? And so what he found was that it had nothing to do with what we consider the main ones, which is diet and exercise. Instead, it is chronic stress. It is the most under-recognized form of cardiovascular disease. So I thought we would talk a little bit about that because I found it so fascinating. I think it's one of these things that get overlooked. And one of the main things I saw in his post was that it said, like, if you're staying in a job because you need the money or you're staying for the money, but you hate it and it's full of stress, then that can take as much as 15 years off of your life. There are all these different correlations with shortening your life and stress. And so here are some other things that I want to talk about that as I did this research and again, I've talked about this before with the experts and now I just really want to bring it to your attention because I know that as we go into the holiday season, especially, stress is going to start to really it's going to start ticking up. And so I think it's very important that we start to maintain our stress levels and incorporate some tactics to reduce that. And I'm going to talk about that before we end the show today on some practical tips that I do on a regular basis to really help me keep my stress levels low. But before that, let's talk about some of the things that chronic stress is doing to you. The long term unresolved stress, as it floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, cortisol rather, and adrenaline over the years and decades, it will actually cause chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, loss of muscle mass, poor sleep architecture, which is one of the biggies. You know that healthy sleep is one of the key elements to longevity and recovery and living longer. It is so key. Good sleep, which is one of the things that I struggle with a lot, is having really dialed in sleep. I'm working on that. Mitochondrial dysfunction, your cells power, the energy. Imagine the little power station of your cell. It's not going to function as well if you're constantly under stress, hypertension, and then immune suppression. This is why some people that don't really, it's not so much that they go out and are in the elements or on planes a lot and there are a lot of germs, but they'll end up just getting knocked down with the flu. And when they get knocked down, they're down and out. If there's somebody that's stressed out and carrying a lot of stress, then chances are they're not going to recover as quickly and they're not going to have as strong as an immune defense against getting sick. So that's one of the big things. And all of these things are going to accelerate aging. And here's something to remember too. Your emotional patterns will actually shape your nervous system. If you live in a chronic sympathetic state, then if you're wired, vigilant, and pressure driven and reactive, your biology is going to reflect that. You're going to have a higher baseline cortisol. You're going to have higher inflammatory cytokines. You're going to have impaired heart rate variability, impaired endothelial function, and faster cognitive aging. Now, one of the things I want to mention here, if you go back, and I'll try to, if I can remember, to link the episode I had with Troy Jackson on endothelial health. I think we actually broke that into 2 parts. It was so in depth. It is so important to understand how to maintain the infrastructure of your cardiovascular system. This is your endothelial health. And it's one of those things that we take for granted. We think as long as we're doing the cardio, we're doing the resistance training, and we're eating somewhat right, that, then our infrastructure for our cardiovascular system is just going to go ahead and follow suit and stay healthy. But there are some things that we can really, really do to make sure that we keep that at an optimal performing level. So check out that episode with Troy Jackson here in the Healthy CEO library. Also, faster cognitive aging. The more stress you're under, the faster your brain is going to age. It's going to raise your heart rate variability. If you start to control your stress, it's going to raise your heart rate variability, which in HRV, the higher, the better. It's going to lower your blood pressure. It's going to enhance your metabolic control. If you're really stressed out, it's not just stressful eating that causes you to gain weight. If you're stressed out a lot, stress can actually slow down your body's ability to metabolize. So that's something that's very important. It slows your epigenetic aging. If you're able to get your stress levels under control, this is why people that are stressed out, gray hair comes faster. Their skin starts to look a little older. Stress, the wrinkles are there. Stress does show everywhere. Now, this is one that I got to admit I'm terrible at performing, and I'm going to start trying to do a better job. It was noted in Mark Hyman's Instagram, and it's noted as well on the research that I did. And I'd read this here recently, that whenever you look at super agers, there's one thing that most all of them have in common. They are very relational people. They have a cohort of folks that they socialize with on a regular basis. So as part of reducing stress and living longer by doing something that has nothing to do with going to the gym or watching what you eat. But it has a huge impact on your cardiovascular health. It's relationships and connection and belonging, that's something that enhances your lifespan. It's hard for me because I'm not around a lot of people. Unless I'm at work dealing with folks, or if I'm on the podcast talking to them, or I'm with Jimlin or something like that, I stay pretty isolated. So I have got to get better at that. There's a Harvard study of adult development that's 85 years running. It's the longest in the world, and it found one stunning conclusion: the quality of your relationships is the strongest predictor of both lifespan and health span. I mean, that's crazy. So if you have really strong friendships, relationships, if you are that social butterfly, if that's the case, I can tell you right now, my oldest daughter's probably going to live to be about 180, because she is the most social, connected person I've ever met in my life. And it's good, healthy relationships. She is just a magnetic person. So Rylan, congratulations. You're probably going to live to be about 180. And at the rate your dad's going, maybe not so much. So I got to change that. But it's not it's not genetics. It's not even medical care. It's having good relationships. So, and that's why you hear about a lot of these folks that after they lose a mate, like if they become a widow or a widower, that if they don't plug in socially pretty quickly, they tend to go downhill really, really fast. So go make friends, get a social tribe, go play mahjong, go play some poker, go do whatever you got to do. Go do all these things I don't do. I'm not practicing what I preach here, but I'll try to get better. Unprocessed emotions age the body the way rust ages metal. Grief unprocessed becomes inflammation. See, this is why I'm bringing this to you. It's the thing that we don't think about a lot. Whenever we're talking about inflammation, we're usually thinking about seed oils and eating fried foods and all these other things. We're not really thinking about the fact that we haven't processed grief, that we're walking around with a bunch of sadness that's causing inflammation, but it does. Anger suppressed becomes hypertension. If you're suppressing anger, it's like that old adage. What is it? That if you're holding bitterness, it's like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. So if you're holding on to anger and bitterness, then it will actually cause hypertension. Anxiety untreated becomes cortisol dysregulation. Loneliness becomes systematic inflammation equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Holy crap. That's amazing. Let's repeat that one. Loneliness becomes systematic inflammation equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is one of the things this is one of the reasons why I think it's so important that while a lot of us may think it's kind of silly or maybe not that impactful, but think about the folks that if you've ever volunteered for Meals on Wheels, or if you go to an assisted living facility and you just go sit with these folks and talk to them for a little while. Look at what you're doing. I mean, this obviously has a huge impact on their life. And as for us, if we're sitting in loneliness and we're just kind of, here's one of the things that happens too. I think just to take this a little further, I've noticed that, rumination is one of the worst and most unhealthy things we can do. It's one of the things that I've noticed if I'm in a stressful situation at work or something, if I ruminate by myself and just let my thoughts kind of compound on the anxiety, the thing that I'm stressed out about, then man, the walls close in and it is not good. It is not healthy. And one of the things that I do to overcome that, just as kind of a little sidebar here, is I'll get outside. Just getting in the sunshine is a game changer. It is truly one of the best ways to change your state. It's something Tony Robbins talks about all the time, by the way, is that one of the best things we can do to kind of change our mood, our attitude, or whatever, you got to change your state. If you're sitting by yourself, just ruminating on bad thoughts, go turn on some good music, go do some push-ups, go get outside in the sunshine, just change your environment, change where you are, change your state. Don't just sit there and try to tell yourself it's okay. And changing your state does not mean starting to repeat some affirmation. It means get out, move, do something different. And if you'll do that, I have learned firsthand, it is a game changer. Stress management is actually energy management. People age faster not because they work hard, but because they never turn off. This is one of the things that I made the point to a point to do a long time ago. I'm still trying to get Mrs. Right to adopt this, but I'm just not going to work real late into the night. I'm not going to work 7 days a week, and I could, and I have to fight it at times. Because sometimes the way we work now in this gig economy, a lot of you listening to this, you work digitally and you're working remotely. So wherever you are is your office. And so it's real easy to convince ourselves that I'm not really working. I'm just checking some email. I'm just doing this, doing that. No, you have got to get to a point where you can just shut it off. And that's one of the things that I've tried to do. And for this very reason, it says right here in my notes, recovery is the true anti-aging protocol. Recovery is one of those things that we take for granted. And we tend to think that recovery only is only applicable to downtime after a hard workout or doing something really strenuous physically. That's not true. I mean, it's literally when you're operating at a high level cognitively and if you're carrying stress, that's putting a lot of stress on your biology, or your physical state and your mental state. You've got to I think you just got to be able to turn off to recover. That's why we go back to talk about sleep. Sleep is so important. Now, here are some of the things that I have started to incorporate in my life that have been really effective for managing stress. The first one, breath work. Now, this is one that you can do right here, right now, and I encourage you to do it. If you start to feel a lot of stress, just do this. It's real simple. Take a breath, a sigh. A resetting sigh is so powerful. And right now, if you're feeling some anxiety, just try it. And then you taking it to the next level is to actually have a breath work protocol that you do in the mornings where you fill yourself up. You do some incantations with your breath work. As a matter of fact, James Nestor wrote that great book, Breath, that I highly, it's either Breathe or Breath. Just James Nestor, look it up. He's a journalist that did a lot of research on breath work, and it is absolutely amazing. And whenever you start to focus on your breath, then it strengthens your immune system. I know, crazy, just by breathing right. Most of us do not breathe right. Most of us are big time mouth breathers when we're supposed to be nose breathers, especially in our sleep. It's one of the things I struggle with is that I breathe mostly through my mouth. We need to be breathing through our nose. You need to be taking less breaths, taking longer, deeper breaths. I won't go into that. I've done podcasts on going deep into breath work, but I'm just telling you, do the research and add that to your protocol. It'll make all the difference in the world. Meditation. Meditation is one of those things that when I'm on track and I'm doing it, it is a game changer. It is a great way. This is what it's like. It's like straightening the desk of your mind. Our minds get so cluttered and stuff just gets messy up there. We don't put things back where it belongs. We pull things out of the cabinets in our brain and set them on the counter, and then we move on to something else while that thing is unfinished. It's still sitting there. Meditation is one of those ways I think I have to give myself a mental picture. There's two things I use for meditation is sit and focus on your breath to kind of stay present. And I'll think of like water, like wavy ripples of water. And I'll think about the water just getting calmer and calmer and calmer in my mind. That's one thing I do. I also will take and I will imagine just cleaning my mind, just trying to blank everything out and put everything back where it goes. And that to me is as important as, think about how much better, and it's proven to lower stress, if you sit down at a desk that's well organized, clean, and ready to go. Messiness creates chaos and anxiety. It's the same with your brain. And here's another trick that I learned a while back that's kind of goofy. I get it, but it actually works for me. So a lot of you out there, whenever you hear meditation, you think to yourself, I'm not good at meditating. My mind wanders all over the place. Your monkey brain will start just just going nuts. Well, here's one of the things that you can do. Imagine that you have someone standing guard, and every time a thought tries to pop into your head, the individual that's in your brain says, "Stop, not right now, he's busy." That it's like you have a bouncer stand or a guard standing outside the door of your brain. Mine's name is Clarence. That's right. I have an elderly black man named Clarence that stands outside my door in my brain that tells everybody, "Not right now, he's busy." I know that's so bizarre, so silly, and so odd, but it works. Another thing that, most people tell you is if you're sitting down and your monkey brain's going nuts and you can't get it to calm down, let the thought happen. Watch it. Just take the thought in and just let it go away, and then get back. And that's why people, when they tell you to count your breath, it's not so much about, like, how many breaths you're taking. It's just giving you something else to focus on, and whenever you do that, you'll slow down your breathing rate, and it'll help calm the monkey brain. The next thing you should do is strength training. Strength training, resistance training is one of those things that it is just getting more and more and more attention, and I was telling Jimlyn here recently that, I really would like for her to start doing some strength training. And my wife is beautiful and sexy and gorgeous and tiny, and so it's not because I'm telling my wife that she needs to get in shape. Not at all. If you know my wife, trust me, that's not the case. But as we both get older, resistance training is not only something that's great for your bone health, your bone density, and your mitochondrial health, but it's very impactful for stress levels and your cognitive health. So do some strength training. Zone 2 cardio. It's one of those things that we all have to do. And zone 2 cardio is the one that it's the conversation, that long conversational pace. It's not real strenuous. And it's gonna help chill you out. It's gonna help kinda moderate your tension. It's just a great thing to do. Nature exposure. So there was a study done a while back, and I don't remember all the statistics, what it said, but the bottom line is this: the big takeaway was people who live near water or walk near water have less stress and greater happiness. And there's this thing, it's gonna sound like a total woo-woo deal. It's called a nature bath. Walk amongst trees and nature. It is scientifically proven. It is scientifically proven to help calm and regulate your central nervous system. So get out and actually go get a nature bath, or if that sounds weird, just go walk in the woods. Go take a walk on a trail where there's trees and that sort of thing. If you're like my youngest daughter Abby and you're in Manhattan, go get to Central Park. It's so cool that you've got over 800 acres of forest in the middle of the epicenter of the universe, which is New York and Manhattan. Go take advantage of that. Go get some exposure to nature. Prayer has actually been shown to reduce stress and anxiety. So prayer is good for your heart. Community, we talked about that. Go out and be amongst people. Purposeful work. If you actually feel like the work you're doing, it's not about the money, but you actually feel like you're doing something that is purposeful, this can be a huge, huge game changer. So look, that's just something I wanted to talk about. I thought it was a really big, it just made a profound impact on me. And right now there's a lot of projects that I turn away, work-wise. And the main reason why is because for me, I'd rather be, not as wealthy financially, but have greater wealth on my healthiness. And so as a result, if I always try to put things under this litmus test of how much stress is this new thing going to lead to? And it's almost any project. And it's the same thing with people. I think this is important too to mention that there's a lot of people that I no longer am around. I purposely keep them at bay. And I know this sounds bad, but look, you know who these people are. If you have people that whenever they come into your life, they cause you stress, then that doesn't mean you can't love them from afar. It doesn't mean you can't tell them happy birthday and check on them every once in a while, but you're not obligated to spend time with people that don't bring light and joy and positive energy to your life. And so I think it's very important that you look at your environment, you curate your life in such a way that you're tackling the stress. And if there's something, if you're walking around with that tingling knot in your stomach all the time, John Deloney, uh, uh, Dave Ramsey's network, a friend of mine, he talks a lot about anxiety and how to treat it and how detrimental to your health it is to make sure that you take care of your stress levels because I mean, heart disease is the number one killer of folks in America. And I think one thing that gets overlooked is stress. It does. You can crush your Peloton for 8 hours a week. You can go and do as many Spartan races as you want. You can do all the CrossFit you want. But if you're doing all that and you're still carrying a ton of stress, then you're just not getting the greatest benefit. So make sure to manage your stress levels and especially, this shows the healthy CEO. A lot of you listening to this, you are CEOs or you're business owners or you're operating at a very high level. And it's gotten to where, my friend Jessica, who owns Generator Athlete Lab in Austin, she said that when she opened Generator, she really thought that her biggest client base would be former athletes or people training for triathlons and marathons, kind of that high achiever endurance athlete. But what she found is most of her clients are entrepreneurs. It's kind of the thing now. If you're a high powered or type A entrepreneur, PE, VC, whatever, tech, if you're a hard charger, then you're also trying to do the biohacking. You're listening to Andrew Huberman. You're getting tips from Peter Attia. You're listening to Ben Greenfield. You're trying to do all these things. But one of the things that if you're not incorporating into all of the biohacking and all the cool red light therapy and ice plunging and all that, if you're not incorporating stress management into that, you're really selling yourself short because it's a big silent killer and a destroyer of your endothelial and cardiovascular health. So hopefully you found this useful. Don't forget to click like or subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like or subscribe. And if you're listening to it on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, please leave us a 5-star rating. And until we meet again, I'm Jason Wright, the Healthy CEO. Stay healthy.